Flexing.
Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Cousin Chronicles.
Hey y'all.
What's up? So y'all, as you can see, we're sitting here looking oh so pretty in our sweatshirts and our paraphernalia. So today's episode, we're going to discuss and talk about school days.
Reliving the past, Lord.
Yes, the good times.
The good old days.
Good times.
Before bills.
That part. So ladies, before we get started and before we jump right into it, give us some background about you and the school you chose.
Okay, well, for me, the last school that I attended was Life University. I went to a couple of different schools. When I first got out of high school, the college I wanted to go to, I didn't get to go to. That's another story for another day. So I ended up going to the local community college in my area, and I stayed there for a year and a half because after after the first semester of the second year, I wasn't feeling it because I was like, why go to college and I'm not having my college experience. So I stopped going there, got a job, and then I went back. I wanted to go back to school, so I forgot where I went, but I went online, but a whole lot of stuff was going on in life then, so I didn't finish there. So I went to Life online.
You've been everywhere,
Right?
Yeah. Well, no, with Life, I didn't even want to go here. I didn't know this school existed. I went with her to go look at colleges, and then I ended up applying, and it just went from there. And so, yes. And then the major that I was majoring in was, drum roll please. I was majoring in biology. I was going to be a science major because I want to be a veterinarian.
Oh,
I love the animals.
oh Lord. No.
Yeah.
After high school, I went to community college. I didn't take the SAT in high school because
it was free.
Right.
And my senior year was just a mess. Like, my life was a mess.
Okay.
My biological dad had died. I was in a not so great relationship. Like, yeah, I was easily manipulated. And then next thing I know, I barely graduated high school. Like, I was surprised that they let me graduate. Like, no, like for real. Like, my senior year was just terrible. But I mean, like, by the time I picked it back up, like, I didn't even do Saturday school sometimes.
Really?
To like pick it back up, it was terrible. But
you made it.
But I made it, exactly. I ended up walking across the stage. I ended up I lived in Winston-Salem at the time, so I ended up going to Forsyth Tech. I took some classes there. And then I ended up transferring to Chowan University. I stayed there for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then transferred to NCCU. The whole time when I was at Forsyth Tech, my major was psychology. But then when I transferred to Chowan, I changed to criminal justice. And then I stuck it out with criminal justice when I transferred to NCCU, graduated with a bachelor's in criminal justice with a concentration in juvenile justice. At the time, I thought I wanted to work with delinquent kids. That quickly changed. And then I went back to grad school, back at NCCU, and I majored in criminal justice and got my master's in criminal justice.
Okay.
So yeah, my collegiate experience was definitely interesting. Went from community college to a PWI to an HBCU. All of it was just different. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I feel like it shaped me into the person that I am today. And each school gave me different experiences.
Yeah. So as for me, I did go into college right after high school. As you can see, I am an alumni of the illustrious Bennett College, located in Greensboro, North Carolina. And you all, it takes a bell to do it well. That's all I'm saying. But I will say this. In high school, I did not want to go to college close to home. Definitely not an all-girls school. So I applied to, well, of course, during free week, they made us apply to Bennett, but I applied to other schools in North Carolina. But my dream school was actually at Xavier University, located in Louisiana.
Really?
Yes. Because I always wanted to go to Louisiana because they have good food, good culture, they have fine men. And that's probably why God didn't send me there. Because it would have been the baby.
We can't go to school based off of the men, Sunday.
Well, I can't talk because that was part of my collegiate
I was about
career,
to say, at 18, that's what we're thinking about. What boy is it? So, and I didn't go to Louisiana because, and it's so funny, I applied to Louisiana. Like I said, they made us apply to Bennett. And I hadn't heard from Xavier yet. So Bennett ended up offering me a scholarship, and I was like, okay. I mean, I gotta go where the money is. Right. So I accepted the scholarship, which means I accepted going to the school, and I'll never forget it. It was move-in day for Bennett. So I got all my stuff, Mom, Dad, Lexus, they're helping me move in, and we go back home for like a little break, and Dad checks the mail, and I got my acceptance letter to Xavier. But by this time, I had already moved in. So I was like, man. And so I was so mad and so sad. But looking back, Bennett was the best option for me. It was the best thing that happened to me because like Nene said, it helped shape me and mold me. And y'all know, they say God always has a way. Yeah. So I think Bennett was his way, for me. While at Bennett, I did major in biology. My life goal at that time was to be a pediatrician, but with biology, it has helped me to be in several fields. Like I've been a pharmacy tech. I've been in a speech therapy center. Right now, I'm teaching other young minds about science. So it's been awesome. It has. I love it.
Nice.
So I will ask you all this because we have some young cousins out there who are either in college or, actually our cousins are young and they're probably thinking about college. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you all looked for when you were trying to apply to schools? Like what made you decide, because I know you two went to a community college. Mm-hmm. I didn't necessarily do that. So what was your thought process at the time?
So when I was in high school and applying and looking for colleges, like I said, my dream job is to be a veterinarian. So all I did was I went to Google and I typed in schools to become a vet. It's not funny. It's what I did. I typed in schools to become a veterinarian. So a whole list of all these hundreds of schools that have programs that can lead you towards or something that deals with veterinarian popped up. So the main ones that I had applied to was my dream school, which was Tuskegee University in Alabama.
Oh, okay.
I applied there with black people. I wanted to go there. And then the other one I applied to was NC State. Because they also have a good program.
They really do.
And then I applied to one in South Carolina called Charleston Southern University. And those were really the only 3 schools I applied to. I heard back from all of them. I didn't get into NC State.
Boo.
Right? I'm so mad. I was ready, go back. I was gonna be away from home, but I wasn't gonna be too far away from home, right? Yeah. So I was hyped about NC State. And so they said nah. So I was like, okay, whatever. So before school ended, I heard back from Tuskegee and Charleston. They both wanted me. Aww. So I was like, my dream school, I could go there. Because, that's where I really want to go. Like, all my life, everybody would ask me, well, where do you want to be? I was like, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to go to Tuskegee or whatever. Like, that was my goal from knee-high to a grasshopper. So I ended up not going there because everybody kept talking about how there's not a lot of me's there or whatever. And I got scared.
Oh, really?
Oh. Yeah, Uncle Juba, matter of fact, he was always like, I ain't gonna get down there and something gonna happen to you. I was like,
that was him. That was him.
Okay, I'm not gonna go there. Oh. Yeah, I got scared out of going to my dream school. And so the only school left was Charleston. So We paid all my money for to go there and everything. Me, mom, and dad, we went down there, toured it. Like I was at the point where all I needed was which one of these dorms is mine. Mm-hmm. That's where I was at. And then one thing led to another, and I ended up at community college. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's why I only stayed the year and a half because I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah. Oof, for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, when all that stuff started happening in my senior year of high school, college wasn't my focus. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, I was scrambling to try to get my life together because I was just like, okay, I have to do something because I didn't want to necessarily stay home. I didn't want to just immediately just go find a job and work. Like, I had to come up with a plan. And so because I didn't take the SAT, my only choice was to go to community college. And it wasn't, at the time, that wasn't the plan. Like, I can say when I started my senior year, before everything popped off, like, I wanted to go to college. And my plan was to take the SAT. But then, like I said, when life went to life, and I had to come up with plan B. And so community college was plan B. Right. And so I just went at first it just started off with my general studies. Right. And then, like I said, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, because that wasn't the focal point. But then, as I started doing the general studies, I was like, okay, I need to pick a major, because I was at the point where I was running out of Englishes and maths and stuff to take. So it was just like I don't want to take courses. Like, I ended up taking like a geology course. At no point am I ever gonna like. Come on now. Yes, the study of rocks. I took a class on the study of rocks.
What you about to do with that?
I have no clue.
That rock did not go through the window on its own.
Look, I passed the class, but I mean, because it got to the point where I was running out of classes, and so I had to have, in order to have a full course load, I had to have 4 classes. So I slapped that geology class on there trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, this is an easy class. It wasn't easy, but I mean, I passed it. Mm-hmm. And so then I chose psychology. Because I've always been interested in like why people do the things they do, why they think the way that they think. And so then when I started taking the psychology courses, that's kind of what led me to criminal justice, because then I've always been curious about why people do what they do, but then I added the component of why do people commit crimes. And so when it was time for me at that point, the criminal justice classes, so I was in the process of trying to switch my major, because I was going to get the associate's degree in criminal justice and then go to a 4-year school. But at that time, the criminal justice classes that Forsyth Tech offered were like in King, North Carolina. And I was like, at that time I didn't have a license or my own car. And so I couldn't drive myself there. Right. So it was just like, okay, I had to make a decision like, okay, do I stick it out with psychology or do I actually just transfer? And so I chose to transfer. So funny thing, I didn't want to go to Winston State because that was just way too close to home. Like, a lot of my friends from high school went there. At that point, it was just going to be like high school 2.0. So then, but I didn't want to go, starting off, I didn't want to go too far away. So I applied to UNCG. Oh. And I didn't get in. Oh. No, we can bond over there. No, they did not want to go to Sister. And I was like, okay. And so then I ended up applying to Chowan, and then and I looked at NCCU and applied to NCCU, but like you, Chowan gave me the acceptance letter first, and so that's where I went. In hindsight, I wish I would have waited, because my eagerness to finish college, I feel like, set me up for the okie doke. Mm-hmm. Not saying that my experience at Chowan was too bad. Like, I had a great time while I was there. But the money portion, right? Yeah, I didn't realize the expense, right. And so it ended up affecting me later on in my collegiate career going to Chowan, because I had to take out more loans, and even with taking out the max loans that me and my parents could take at the time, it still wasn't enough. It had to be to the point to where my parents had to add extra money to it in order to pay for like my books, and then I had to work in order to pay some of my tuition as well. So it was a lot. Like I said, it was a great experience, but like in hindsight, I wished I would have just waited for NCCU, because it would have been cheaper, and I wouldn't have as much debt as I have now.
Right. Facts.
Yeah, I would say, well, you all know the thought process behind mine. I was trying to go far away from family because I wanted to be my own person. I didn't want to live in the spotlight of others or live up to the expectations of others. So I wanted to go somewhere where nobody knew me, where I had no family, and I could just learn who I am, be who I am, and thrive. But like I said, the money was at Bennett, so I ended up at Bennett. And to be honest, like I said, that was the best thing for me. I will say, looking back, I do wish I would have tried community college, giving it a shot first, because I didn't. And you all, there is nothing wrong with community college. It's not at all. And in fact, nowadays, because during the summers, I do a summer program for minority boys, 6th grade to 12th grade, at a local community college. And they have more high-tech stuff and more degree options than some of these 4-year colleges.
Right.
And so, yeah, like the one I was at, they have a, so my program, or the program that I work with, is Medical Bridge. So it's trying to get these young men introduced to the medical field because we need representation. We need more people to look like us in the medical field. And so big shout outs to ACC, which is Alamance Community College. They've actually built a whole center that is STEM. Ooh. And they have these huge labs. And to be honest, they have some equipment that I didn't even have when I was going to my institution, and it was a private school. So you all, there's nothing wrong with a community college. In fact, I think sometimes going to a community college first and then going to college is probably your best way to go. And like, even if you don't want like a big major or, you know, to be a professional under someone, community college gives you that option because you can pick up trades. You can be an electrician, be a cosmetologist, do HVAC. And like, to be honest, those people come out of school making more than we do, and they have less debt. But yeah, so my thought process is I just wanted to be away from home. I wanted to be myself, but that didn't end up happening. So I called myself, still distancing myself. Didn't work because somebody, whether it was Uncle Chris or Mom and Dad, they were there every weekend to pick me up for church, and I would go to church, spend the night, and then they bring me right back to school. And I was like, man, this is exactly what I did not want. And then it made it even worse because Mom, so we're all girls, we're in this dorm, and I had a suite. So it was me and my roommate. We had a living room that we shared with our other suite mates. So it was a girl and another girl in their room. So Mom would cook for us. So they started clinging to Mom and stuff because she became our mother. And then she'd be like, y'all come on to church. They're like, yeah. I'm like, y'all, no. We in college, we are not going to church. Like, that's not what college people do. But yeah, she'd pick us up. It'd be all of us in the car. We go spend the night at the house and then come back for school.
Yep, I had 4 big sisters when she was in college.
Yes, it was. I was like, y'all.
But you know what's crazy is I thought the same thing when I went to Chowan. I was like, this is my time to figure out who I am. I'm no longer in my parents' house. I don't got no curfew. I don't got to answer to nobody. I come and go as I please as long as I don't break the rules of the dorm. But then I was like, I ain't got to go to church. Child, what I ended up doing? Joining the gospel choir, joining the church down there. I mean, I partied, but it wasn't like hard, like I feel like I should have or could have. And then any chance that I could, I was at home.
Yep.
Because I missed my bed, I missed my bed. Like, I was like, man, here I am thinking I have to live this luxurious life. Just be out here balling, just doing whatever I want.
Right.
Like going like, you know, because at the time, that's when all your stomp the yards and stuff came out. And so I was like, oh yeah. Now, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. That was one of the reasons why I joined the sorority. was cousin those movies.
Wow.
Yes. I won't even deny it, but yeah. But I just thought that, especially after I crossed y'all, I just was like, oh, I'm about to be at all these parties. Everybody about to know me. I had my line jacket. What was I doing? I was still at choir rehearsal. I was still at church every Sunday. I was like,
and it's so funny because I just knew I was gonna meet my husband in college. Ended up going to an all-girls school. Now, yes, A&T was across the railroad tracks, but because we're so close in proximity, Bennett girls have this stereotype that, we travel across the tracks to go mess with the boys. So I was like, one thing I'm not going to do is travel across these tracks. So what did I end up doing? Spending my time with females. And I'm like, so, y'all, what are we doing? And we had things to do. Like, we had things called gym jams. Our gym was small because it was only about 2,000 girls all together. But people from A&T, UNCG, WSSU, they would come to our gym jams. It was hot in there. It was stinking in there. And I was like, I'm going to go in this little gym jam, find my husband. Went to the gym jam. No. I danced a little, but parties and a lot of people have never been my thing. But again, I was trying to push myself.
Me too.
And so I was like, yeah, not going to any more gym jams. So then me and my friends, we decided to go to the club one night after homecoming. Not our homecoming, because our homecoming is in April. We went to GHO, which is A&T's homecoming. And so we went to the club. Y'all, my feet were hurting. So I ended up taking my shoes off in the club. Yeah, don't do that. Like, horrible. But then, I was dancing or whatever. And then I was like, I'm about to meet my husband in the club. No, didn't do that either. Didn't even get no numbers. So, yeah, no.
They do set you up for that, though. When they do think, you're going to find your husband. And it's just like, the guy that I dated during college, I didn't think that was going to be my husband. But then when things went the way they went, I'm thankful that it didn't lead that way. Yeah. I didn't find my husband till way after college. Girl. And it's just but then think about it, those guys that I even hung out with or went to college with, or even the guy that I was dating, they were still trying to figure themselves out. They weren't trying to be nobody's husband. Right. So it's just I went in with false expectations.
Very false expectations. I will say I didn't find a husband. I stumbled across a child's father. And it's funny because I was in college. This dude told me he was in college. So I'm like, I'm about to have an educated man. Y'all, he was not in college. Lied to me. Ooh. Trapped me. And I tell him to this day he trapped me. He thinks it's funny, but I found my baby daddy in college, my daughter's dad in college. He wasn't on the college. Because, we can have, let me take this back. So, freshman year, we did have curfew. We had to be, freshmen did. Mm-hmm. So, we had to be back in the dorm by a certain time. Yeah. And then we could have guys over, but it was at a certain time. Number one, they could only be in the commons area. They could not travel off to our rooms. And they had to be gone by a certain time. Okay. Yeah, because, they did not play. Even for upperclassmen, in the different dorms, when boys came, they had to sign in, go to the commons area, and the whole time they were there, they had to stay in the commons area, and when they left, they signed out and then get off campus. Then it won't play in that. So, so I had to go off campus to meet what I did meet. So, yeah. I'm in pool.
We had curfew. So at Chowan, I stayed in an all-girls. Some of our dorms were by floor.
Okay.
One floor was guys, one floor was girls. And so, but they had a curfew. They had the rule that you couldn't spend the night. Who was going to change?
I'm going to say, was this supposed to change anything?
Right. And then especially when you cool with your RA, my RA was having boys in that room. So I'm like, how you going to try to check me about who in my room when you whole live had a revolving door for a little bit there? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I stayed in the same hall for my first 2 semesters there, and then I asked to switch halls because my hall became bat infested.
Oh, Jesus!
No, legit. I'll never forget that jump. So somehow there was I guess a hole in the ceiling or the roof or something, mm-hmm. and bats had gotten into the walls. And what was happening was that at night, the bats were coming out of crevices in folks' rooms.
No!
And so they told us to plug the hole. So me and my roommate go sticking socks and stuff in the holes. Well, I'll never forget it. One night I'm in the room and all of a sudden we hear all this screaming. Somebody, it's a bat. Me and my nosy roommate, we open the door and sure enough, to go back flying down the hallway. I was like, oh my God. When my roommate was outside looking at said bat, I locked her out.
No, you did not.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I had to tell her. So no, I pushed to close the door and it locked. Nah. And so she's banging on the door, and so I let her in, but I was just girl, get in here. And so we pushing towels at the bottom. It was scary. Wow. I never forget. It was Christmas break came. And my parents, I left late because mom and dad couldn't take off to come get me yet. So I had to stay a day or two. Child, they knocked a hole in the wall, and I'm sitting on, there was a dorm called Dunn that was behind my dorm. I stayed in Simons, and then Dunn was right behind it. I'm sitting on the steps of Dunn with one of my guy friends, and they just, all of a sudden, they opened that wall, and all these bats just started coming out. And I was like, oh, no. So when I came back, I was in another hall.
I know that's right. Girl, no.
And so they had been across the way. My two best friends, Aaliyah and Antoinette, they always stayed in Jenkins. And so I ended up going and moving to Jenkins that following year. I couldn't move after Christmas break. I had to wait until the following year. So the following year, my last semester there, I stayed in Jenkins. But then that's when I found out that Jenkins had a spider problem. So I was like, but in my mind, I was like, I would take spiders over bats.
Right.
Like, but like, Jenkins wasn't that bad. Like, and y'all, that was my first time having a white roommate. No, I like Sarah. Sarah was she was a good roommate. But yeah, like, that was my first time having a white roommate. And it was definitely, different. I learned a lot of, that's where I learned about like The Walking Dead and stuff like that. Because I wasn't into that type of stuff. But she got me kind of into it.
That's my favorite show.
And like, Aaliyah and Antoinette stayed down the hall from me. And then like, a lot of my other friends that used to live in Simons, we all had the same idea we wasn't going back. They was all like, oh, the bat situation is clear. And in my mind, I'm like, once a bat is there, it's always going to be somebody baby going to be there.
And even that guano, because that's poisonous.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just like, nah, I'll just come over here and live with the spiders.
Yeah, just live with the spiders.
But then it's just like, I remember Chawan was very dead, if that makes sense. Like, the town was dead. Like, everything, like, all square shut down at 7 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Like, and because it was a PWI, a lot of the neighboring people did not take kindly to our kind. But Chawan had a lot of minority students. Like, it was still predominantly white, but we were starting to take over.
Right.
And so, like, but I can remember, like, certain restaurants, like, weren't a fan of us. Like,
really?
There was a Roses, like, that thing closed at, like, 6, 7 o'clock. Like,
So how are you supposed to do all your shopping?
There was no, like, shopping. We had to go to Franklin, Virginia, or Ahoskie, which was, like, 25, 30 minutes away, and Franklin was about 20, 30 minutes away to go to Walmart to shop.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Did y'all have, like, a bus take y'all there?
No, like, if you ain't have a car, you ain't go.
Are you serious?
So, like, I didn't drive, but Aaliyah drove.
Okay.
And so, like, we were coordinating, so, like, it was fun. We all had work studies, so whenever we would get our little student paychecks, so we'd be like, okay, we're going to go get our nails done, and then we're going to go to Walmart and grocery shop. And we would grocery shop.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, that was a hard part as well. Like, we had to make our own fun. So that's where I learned a lot of my drinking games and, a lot of my other games and stuff like that. Like, the entertainment was the kickbacks that you would have in folks' rooms.
Yeah, so true.
And it's just like, or like some of the sports teams have like their own houses and stuff like that. Or like folks would use their tuition and rent out a house. And so like you would go to the kickbacks. And then before I left, they had built student apartments or whatever. That was way above my financial aid at that time. So I was like, nah, we ain't staying over there. But like we would have parties. And then, of course, by then I had joined the sorority. So we had like parties at like different clubs and stuff like that. Those were my favorite parties. Like I would say those parties. I can remember my first party I went to. I was like, I just seen like the Greek life just emerge into the party. I was just like, oh man! Like I said, I felt like stomp the yard. I was ready, Jesus. And so then it was just like I can remember making the decision on the sorority that I decided to join. And it's just like, they made it very clear, like, don't be joining just because you want to stroll at the parties or you want to be part of the step show. Da, 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 da.
Did you listen?
No. I did.
Okay.
Because funny thing. Now, I can stroll, but stepping was not my forte. And I know that's so sad. Like, it was not like my limbs would not let me be great, y'all.
Really?
For real. I'm so serious. Like, I know. And I tried to. We made it. I did 1 year when the semester after our cross, and it was time for the step show. We was practicing, and it just wasn't going the way that I needed it to go. So I was just like, you know what, maybe I'm more of a behind the scenes person. So I was able to pick out outfits. I was taking pictures, letting folks know when they was off. I thrived in my administrative duties. Right. And then that same semester, I ended up being president. And so it was just like, president? I know, right? I don't know why they voted me. I really don't. I didn't want it. I was like, no, I'm good. But I ended up being president. And so, like, that brought on a whole different thing. Like, working with a lot of people, like, you know, trying to coordinate events. And then that's where I learned that it wasn't just about the parties and stuff like that, that you actually, number one, I had to keep my grades up. Number two, I still had to work in the community, like for community service. Like I was a representation of not just my chapter, but my organization as a whole. Right. And it was just like, then on top of that, it was different conferences that came with the organization, like being a representative for this, being a representative on this council. And I was just like, this was not something y'all told me that it was going to be. All this is on top of still maintaining. You had to maintain a certain GPA. Yeah. On top of that, I was working and still involved in gospel choir. Like it was a lot, but I will say that I thrive under pressure. So like it was worth it. But like, boy, I tell you, some of them parties, yeah. And what's funny is now, like, because my husband didn't go to college, but he like knows about like Greek life and stuff like that. And so like I'll give him like little tidbits like what parties and stuff was like. And so he'll be like, I just wish I would have known you back then. I'm like, you probably would not have married me. We're just going to say that. You would not have married me. But it's just like, it was just so much fun. And then when I left the PWI and went to HBCU, it like amplified. Of course. Yeah. Because of course we didn't have all the Divine Nine at Chowan. They were just starting really to get them there. Whereas when you went to NCCU, you had everybody. And it was just like they had a whole like Greek bowl dedicated. Like everyone had their own like plots and everything like that. And it was just like, I would say that Greek life really like exploded for me. And as well as the curriculum. Because like a lot of my professors didn't look like me. Like one did, rest in peace to him, Dr. Wyatt, that was over the criminal justice department and who was my supervisor for work study. He was black. But like, and then shortly after Miss Miller came, who was actually my soror, like, you know. And so it's just like she eventually came to the department. And then, but like, it wasn't a lot of black people. There weren't a lot of black teachers. And so then when I went to NCCU, almost every teacher was white or of minority status. Like, I can count on one hand how many white professors I had. Yeah. And I can second that, being from Bennett, because of course Bennett's an HBCU. So a lot of my professors, they either looked like me or they were from a minority group as well. Right. Like, I think my whole time there, I may have had one. One Caucasian professor. Yeah. So yeah, and I feel like that made me feel more comfortable at the school. Yeah. Like, I had people that looked like me and they were professionals. It was Dr. Cotton, Dr. Morera, like they were high status. So it's like it gave me someone to look up to. And then the fact that they were willing to, you know, reach down and help me up, you know, that means a lot. As well as, you know, I became pregnant in college. And I will say, in my department, most of our professors were males, but there was one, Dr. Morera, she was female. And you would think that a male would be like, well, you still got to come to school, do your work, but on this and the third, but they were so understanding. Now, no, they didn't just let me run off and do whatever I wanted to do, but still, like, they still held me accountable, but they were understanding of my situation. Right. Yeah. And I think that came from, you know, them being at an all-females college for so long, but also just them being human. Yeah. Because they were fathers. Dr. Morena, she was a mother, and at the time I was pregnant, she had a grandbaby on the way, and so did Dr. Ricardo. So, like, they had children in the same position that I was in, and, like, I feel like that helped me so much more because them, along with my support group, after I had Gabrielle, I didn't do any work while I was out on maternity leave, like I had promised them.
But once I came back, I was able to do work, and like they made sure that I got back in the flow of things, so that I was able to graduate. Yeah. And so that, I didn't get too far behind or, was lacking of anything. And like that was amazing in itself. And like when they would see me, they would ask about Gabrielle. It was like they were part of the family. I wasn't just a number. Yeah. But I will say also, off of what you said, like you had a great time in college, and I wish I was more open and outgoing in college, because I was either in my dorm, at home, or with my daughter's dad. Like that was it. Yeah. And looking back, I wish I would have spent more time not making friends, but making a solid foundations with the friends I had. Because I know some of them who still communicate with each other. They go see each other, even though it's been years since we were in college. And to be honest, I don't do that with any of them. But I wish I would have spent more time, because I wasn't upset, but I was a little hurt that, I was here at this all-girls school in Greensboro, which was right at home. Mm-hmm. So, because I just wanted to be away. But I wish I would have spent more time nourishing those friendships and those bonds that I did have. Yeah. Like, we'll still say hey and speak to each other, but it's not like that closeness. Because Bennett was really big on sisterhood. Like, once we got in, the freshmen, we had a junior assigned to us as our big sister. Number one, it was someone who was far enough in their major who could tell us, what classes were good for our major, what professors were hard, what professors, were good, which ones were funny, what classes you should take, what classes you shouldn't take, internships, stuff like that. They were like a mentor, but also they weren't too old to where, they would leave us the next year. Right. We had them for 2 of our years, and like once we got them, we were able to see them graduate. Mm-hmm. And then that next year, once they graduated, we got our little sisters, and we were able to keep paying it forward. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I wish I would have been more outgoing. Because like I said, I was focused on finding my husband. Like I was really like, where the boys at? Like, where my husband? And I wish I would have focused more on school. Mm-hmm. Like I did really good. Yeah. Even after getting pregnant and having Gabrielle, I still did good, but I wish I would have studied more. I wish I would have done internships, and actually applied myself, because I did good enough to get by. But I wish I would have done better. Right. Because I feel like that would have opened more doors for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I said that last season too. Like, I wished I would have, done more internships, because then it would have been a little more beneficial when I was looking for a job. Yes. Because those internships would have been my experience in the field. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, a lot of jobs. And that is one thing that I faced. Like, I didn't plan to go to grad school. I didn't want to go to grad school. Like, once they say you're going to get this bachelor's, I was done. I was tired of school. I was tired of papers. Like, I was like, I just ready to work and earn money. Like, that was the thing. But applying for jobs, I was just like, I kept getting the same thing. Not enough experience. Not enough experience. Not enough experience. And then every now and then it was not enough education. And so I had to make a choice. I had to either just, because I was one of those that had the mindset I didn't want to get a job. I didn't want to get stuck in a job that wasn't in my field. Yes. Like, I done spent all this money to get this piece of paper. Yeah. And so I wanted to work in that field that I studied for. But unfortunately, at the time, the jobs that I was applying for, they either didn't pay a lot, or they just wasn't trying to accept me because I didn't have the experience. So I had to make a choice: either go to grad school and get more education to make myself more marketable and more, worthy of, employment, because I had further education. Because sometimes the education can supplement for the experience. Yes. Or I could either choose to go find a job and just work and hope that something falls into my lap. I'm not one to just hope that stuff falls into my lap. So at the last minute, I knew I sold myself short in that I was one of those C's get degrees type people. Oh, Jesus. Not saying that all of my grades were C's, but I had a few C's, and I had to repeat a couple of courses. Mm-hmm. Y'all, I repeated a course. I got a D in it, and then repeated it and got a C in it. And I had the same. It was a teacher. It wasn't me. It was a teacher. Nah, it was a teacher. But so like knew, I was like, if I try to apply somewhere like big for grad school, I probably won't get in.
Yeah.
And then I loved my school. Like, I was that summer that I was applying to jobs, I was still working for residential life at NCCU. And so I was like, okay, well, my supervisor at the time, she was like, well, if you get into grad school here, you can keep your job here.
Okay.
She was like, or you can, be a RA for the grad housing, and your housing will be paid for.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And so I was like, well, what do we want to do? But then the dollar signs got to me. I was like, what they were paying and offering, I could go home and make more money. And so I went home and worked where my mom was working, and then I just commuted 2 to 3 times a week to go to school at night. Like, luckily the place had a flex schedule to where I could come in earlier. I could come in earlier and leave at 4 to be in class by 5:30, 6 o'clock. And just because, like, it was Durham, so of course 85 and 40 traffic was just terrible.
Yes, Lord.
And so it was just like I had to have that time to commute. And so for the whole time I was in grad school, up until the last semester, that's what I did, is that I commuted. And Lord have mercy, that was one of the hardest periods of my life. Like, I, at one point, was in grad school, commuting 2 to 3 times a week, working full time. I had gotten a part-time job by then. I had gotten my first car on my own by then. Like,
you still had your relationship
for part of grad school. Yeah, that didn't work out. I'm glad that it didn't work out, but it's okay. That was part of grad school.
That took a toll.
Yeah, that did take a toll. Like, that breakup did take a toll. Yeah. I ended up getting on academic probation because of that daggone relationship. Like, I was yes. Yeah, it was crazy. So, like, when I was in grad school, I was on academic probation twice.
Really?
Yes. So you have to maintain a 3.0 when you're in grad school. And my first semester is when that thing broke up with me or whatever, and I was just devastated or whatever. And because he was still in undergrad at NCCU, and I would see him whenever I went to grad school. So, like, schoolwork kind of went by the wayside. And so I ended up getting, I think, a B and a C my first semester, which brought my GPA below 3.0. And so I had to get put on, they kicked me out because of the low GPA. And then I had to write a letter to be allowed back in. Oh, and so luckily they had let me back in. And so then I ended up doing some more courses. I redid the course that I got the C in and ended up getting an A in it. But the other course was still on my transcript. And it still was calculated into my GPA.
Really?
So at the end of that semester, now the next semester that I went, I had gotten A's and B's. And so I'm thinking, oh, I'm good. Well, no, my GPA was still not what it needed. It still wasn't a 3.0 because of that C. So I had to fill out paperwork in order to get that C taken off of to not be calculated in my GPA, which, because it took so long for the paper to come back, I got put on academic probation, which meant that if by the end of the following semester, if I did not have a 3.0, I would be dismissed from the School of Criminal Justice. Oh, wow. And so, luckily, I got everything together. I did excellent the rest of my time in grad school. Honestly, I'm proud to say that for everyone, I got a perfect score for my my capstone presentation. I was the only one in my cohort that got a perfect score.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that project took forever. I did a research paper on human trafficking. And my professor at the time, he was the dean of the criminal justice department at that time, he was just like, everyone does capstones and papers and stuff on human trafficking, but when they do so, they do it from the viewpoint of the people that are trafficked. They never do it from the viewpoint of the folks that are doing the trafficking. Mm-hmm. And so y'all know me, I love a good challenge. And so he baited me into doing that. Dr. Brown, I know you did. Because it ain't funny that you had that conversation with me. And then what did I do? I failed for it. But I ended up doing that. I ended up doing part of my research on why it was so lucrative or why people, traffic other human beings. And it was because people are a lot of work, a lot of money, y'all. Yeah. And so it was just like between that and then researching as like, the people that they prey on, like runaways, people in like, the LGBTQIA plus community, like people that are immigrants and stuff like that. Like in my research, I did not know that people whole lives like go to these low and impoverished countries and tell them like, hey, I run a school in America. Let me take your child and like take them to America to get a better education. And whole life, what they do is they sell them into human trafficking. Oh, wow. So a parent is giving their child a better chance. In their mind, giving their child a better chance at life. Mm-hmm. And a whole lot of these people are taking advantage of, and their children are being sold into like human trafficking rings. Oh my! And I was just like, right. That was a very depressing research project. But like when I was very proud of that. Like I still have that paper to this day. Like I put that on my resume in that I have done extensive research in the world of human trafficking. And it's just like looking back on it on my education, shout out to Dr. Brown and Dr. Harris as well. I didn't know that we could put our like what we do in school on our resume as experience.
Oh, you're teaching me something.
Like research that you've conducted, like papers that you've written and stuff like that. You can put that as research or experience that you have. Like I have experience in. So like I took a program evaluation course. I can put that on my resume because during that I did have to research and evaluate a program. And then for all my research papers that I've done, I had to be the one to read the articles, research the topic, write it, and construct the paper. That's me performing research. And when I did statistics, I used my statistics course as experience in statistics or whatever. Even though I really don't use statistics that much, I let the Excel document do it for me. But I have experience in it because I took and passed the course. Right. And took the time to learn the program. So it's just like, I didn't know that. And so then when it came time for us to like get ready to graduate, in my conversations with Dr. Harris, they were just like, you can put your collegiate experience, what you learned here in grad school, on your resume, as you have research skills, you have evaluation skills. And it was just like, I didn't know that. Like you studied a topic for a whole semester. You have, experience in that. Right. And I do believe that putting that on my resume is what helped me get my first job with the criminal justice system. And it was because I was an adult victim advocate. It was for a nonprofit, but my office was housed in Guilford County's Family Justice Center. And so, and it calls for you to work with like people like the Sheriff's Department, GPD, the court systems and stuff like that. And so that was my first like toe dip into working with the criminal justice system. And then now in my current role, all those things that I learned, not just in school, but from that first job, has now in a better position where I actually work for the county and work in the courthouse with DA's office, public defenders, a judge, like treatment providers, all that kind of stuff. So it's just like, but had I kept selling myself short on my resume and just putting the bare minimum and not putting those research and evaluation skills and things like that, I probably would still be like stuck in a job that I didn't want to be in.
That is so true. So true. But going off of something you said, Mimi, how you took a class with a professor, made a low grade, took it again, and made a better grade. I have a similar story.
See?
So
it ain't just me.
At our school, there were a few professors that were known to be hard. Don't listen to you. Like, you in it on your own. They gonna teach you and then leave. And I was like, you know what? Since y'all know this, because like I said, we got big sisters. So since y'all know this, I'm gonna listen to you, and I'm gonna try to avoid the obstacles that you have to do. So I had to take had to take calculus. And I called myself not taking it with the teacher at Bennett because she was known as a hard person. She graded very hard, and it was hard to pass her class. So I traveled across the tracks to NCA&T, and I took it over the summer. So during this time, I had just had Gabrielle a few months before. Well, yeah, because I had her in October. It's like June. So I took the class at A&T, y'all. I could not understand the professor at all. I went to his office.
That is the worst. When you can't get mad and you can't understand what they say. Oh my God.
So then I was like, okay, I need to take accountability for my actions and my education. So I would go to his office for office hours, and he would sit there and explain it to me, and I'm sitting there looking at him like this.
I don't get it.
Still didn't get it. So then I tried to, meet with some people for a study group, but y'all know I don't talk to people, so that was like. So I ended up making like a D in the class, and I was like, dang, I still got to take this class so I can pass it for my degree. So went to Bennett, and I was like, oh gosh, here we go. If I couldn't do it at A&T, I definitely can't do it here. Y'all, took it with the teacher, because you had 2 teacher options. And I called myself signing up for the other one, but it didn't fit my schedule. So I had to end up taking it with the teacher that I was warned about, the professor, that I was warned about. Y'all, that was the most fun class I had. Number one, I could understand her. She was Russian, and she did have an accent. But I could understand her. She took her time and broke it down. She was available for office hours, which I did go to because I was still struggling a little bit. But I ended up passing the class with a B. And so I was like, had I not listened to those folks, I could have taken her and had to be the first. Yeah. And then
had your summer free.
Yeah, that was my thing. I'm over here struggling during the summer, and it ended up being, in my mind, in vain because I didn't pass. Yeah. When I could have just took it at home and done great. Right. So, yeah. And I will say this, too. So, segmenting into Alexis, her school choice, after school, like I said, my goal was to be a pediatrician. And when you go into the medical profession, they want you to do internships and research. And like I said, I didn't do any of that during my college experience. I was focused on myself and then being a mom. So I was like, forget that. So I had to segue to something else. I wasn't ready to go to grad school because I was scared of taking the GRE. So Life University, somehow I stumbled upon them. I can't remember how. One of my friends from college, she was going there and she told me about it. And they have a chiropractic program. So I was like, hey, I can still be in the medical field without, having to go to med school and do the internship and the research. It was kind of like a lateral entry. Yeah, so I went there, and y'all, again, I'm introverted, and I've diagnosed myself with social anxiety disorder.
Okay, WebMD.
I did, and if anybody asks, I have social anxiety disorder. I'll tell anybody that with a frown, with my chest out. Because, when I get around people, and, it's horrible, because, it can be people that are new. It can be people, even if it's people that I know, if there's a lot of them, or if it's, somebody I like, it's my brain just goes into mush. And, it's horrible. It's really, really bad.
You really couldn't have went to no parties then if you got that, though.
Oh, Lord. I told you, I went to one gym jam. I went to the club one time, and I was like, that's it. But, so to help counter at that, Lexus is outgoing. So me, the introvert, is going to bring the extrovert with me. So Lexus would segue me into conversations and stuff. Lord. So I went there. We toured. By the way, Life University is located in Atlanta, Georgia.
I remember y'all going on that trip. Yes. I remember that.
It is awesome. And they not only have the School of Chiropractic Medicine, but they also have an undergraduate program, which is what Lexus did. So while I'm there trying to get into the chiropractic program, they're recruiting her for the undergraduate program. So, yes. So I went there one time, and I was introduced to it. They gave the tour and everything. And then the second time, I applied, and I got approved. I got accepted. So I was excited. I'm about to go to chiropractic school. But again, this school was all the way in Atlanta. My daughter's dad wasn't willing to move. I wasn't willing to leave Gabrielle behind. So I ended up not taking that opportunity. And I can't say I don't regret it. Just because, I'm into holistic medicine. I don't take medicines. I'm sick right now, and I refuse to take anything. But, in chiropractic medicine, is letting your immune system heal itself just by knowing how to, I don't want to say manipulate it, but just knowing how to work with it. Like, you would never know that, like, just by getting adjusted, you give your spine more room and more freedom, and your nerves more room and more freedom to do what your body needs to do. So,
it
it
is
something
a chiropractor to help me lose weight then? To exercise and lose.
You know what? We should try that. We should be research.
When I had my car accident, I had to go to a chiropractor, and when I would get my back and stuff cracked and everything, like I felt great. And it's like now that I don't go to him no more, like I be hurting. Yeah. Like I could be sitting down or something, I go stand up, I feel like I'm like 80 years old. I gotta get myself straightened up and everything. Yeah.
And that's what they told us at the walkthrough that we did. Is that, you know, your immune system, of course, it doesn't control your body, but it controls us and how we feel. And like by being adjusted, like your body, it moves with you. So when your body gets stuck, you kind of impede normal things from happening that should happen. So what an adjustment does is it fixes you back to your normal position, which allows your body to work. So like, you know, we sit at the computer and we like hunched over, we get stuck like this. So our nerves and stuff aren't able to fire signals as quickly or even like they should at all. But so when you get adjusted, it frees up that space. No, but it frees up.
That was about to take a turn that it did not need to take.
What?
I was not ready.
She was looking at me. This is not that type of party.
It just gets your body back working the way it needs to. But then, so we ended up going to Atlanta again. No, I'm done. I promise. I need a seat.
So over there.
So then we ended up going back to Atlanta to Life University. I had already like turned them down, I guess, but told them that, you know, I wouldn't be coming. And Lexus was actually going for her tour. So first of all, Life is really, really big. Not Life that we live at Life University.
I knew where you was going.
Life University is really big. Like, they take you on this tour around the college. Y'all, I promise you it lasts 2 hours. And they only have this tour during the summer, so you sweating, you feel like you're gonna die. It's the worst workout of your life.
And then they got these, to get to one section, because it's on a hill. Yes. And they got like these, I swear, they're the stairs of death.
They're like this much wide.
And they are, it's not like it's not straight incline, but like there's and like, you know how normal stairs has like that flat platform where you can rest? You start at the bottom.
And there are no rails, so you're just walking.
Yeah. That sound like the Jesus steps at NCCU, man. Just think about it, made my thighs burn. Oh my God. My ex used to live in a dorm that was like across campus from mine. And I remember the shuttle buses weren't running, and so I had to walk over there. Child, walking there was fine because I went down to Jesus steps. So going downstairs, there was no issue. But baby, going back, what I tell you, and there was no landing. It was just, I mean, they had rails, but this was me on the rails, like it was terrible. I was like, never again after that.
That was us the whole tour. I was like, I don't have asthma or anything that I know of, but I was like, I need an inhaler. Like, I'm not going to make it. And Paul Lesson was like, wait for me. So we would stop and wait, and then the group would be on us, so we try to catch up with the group, out of breath, ain't paying nothing.
And then you know, as big girls, you gotta try to take your breath
and try to still look cute. Like, girl,
but you dying on the inside.
Just dying. And then it's hot. So yeah. So tell us, because we went to school kind of in person, or you know, actually on campus, whereas you've gone online. So how was that experience?
So going online is you have some of the same experiences, as far as like, you know, they have the same expectations whether you're in person or not for coursework getting done. What they do is, it depends on the class you're taking. I had one class that was an English class, and basically they gave us what we're doing for the whole time and like the due dates, so you can start working on something. Make sure, and like you work on 3 different things. Just make sure that the one that's due.
So it wasn't like work at your own pace. Like you had actual like due
dates. We had due dates, but it was sort of work at your own pace, but you still gotta get it done by a certain time.
So there was like no checkpoint. Like, okay, today in class we're gonna work on this. Make sure you're done with this part.
Right? No, it was.
This is all due.
Yeah, if you want to wait till the night before, do all your research and write your paper. Dittos. If you want to start the day you got your syllabus, start researching, and then take a break, go research the next topic that you're going to have to work on. Also ditto. But so like then you have the ones that was like they gave it to you for the whole week. So like they gave you all the work that you need to get done for the week, and it was done. It had to be due by that Friday at 11:59 p.m.
Ooh, that 11:59 p.m. Sometimes it was saving grace, but then once it got down to crunch time, it was like, oh god,
and everything started glitching.
Yes.
Oh god,
man, nothing works past 11.
Yes, I've had that happen.
Like my kids now. Because I make them turn in work online because I need them to be accountable. So when it's late, Canvas will be like, it's late. And they can't be like, well, I turned it. Mm-mm. But anyway, so they be like, instead of 4:25, which is when we get out of school, they be like, can you put it for 11:59? And then my head, I'm like, little do you know, at 11 o'clock, the internet gonna shut down. So, I mean, it really don't matter.
Right. Computer gonna die.
Hello.
Blackboard gonna be down.
Yeah, Canvas gonna go into maintenance. So, I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, that 11:59, man.
It was.
Well, how was your teacher availability though? Like as far as your professors and stuff.
Yeah. So because the professors, they not only taught online classes, but they also taught some of them taught in-person classes too. Mm-hmm. Their office hours were I don't know if it would be the same as their in-person hours, but they had office hours for us, and we would just basically either email back and forth, or someone would offer the video chats, so like they can like show you visual explanations if the videos and stuff that they did post weren't enough.
So that was my question. How was instruction? Like, was it like FaceTime or like Zoom where everybody was on camera? Like, did they do like a pre-recorded lesson and they voiced over as they taught? Or did they just say, hey, here's a Google video? Like, how was instruction?
So instruction was, they gave you had times for instruction time.
Okay.
So you had to be in there during the instruction times to be counted. Because somehow the system could recognize if you was there or not. And so it was like instruction times were like, you had hours to do it. To go learn whatever they had. No. So anywhere between so say the class was from like 9 a.m. to 11:30. So anywhere in between there, you had to go learn, and the lessons weren't that long. Some of them would be like they would do a video and talk through it, and then they will also link in like supporting videos or whatever for you to watch. Okay. I don't think I had any where they were like, you have to be in there. Now I do know like first day of class was everybody come and introduce yourself type thing.
I hated that.
But that was only for like one of my classes. The other ones were like the little threads.
Oh, like the discussion board.
Yeah, the discussion board. You have to go in it. Like I had one class. It was my art class. And you would have to go, like, in order for you to be counted in the class, you have to talk on the discussion board. And you would have to go, like, look at other people's work that they submitted.
We would
comment. And then they would have, like, you have to comment on, I think, 3 people's works.
Yeah, I think
you have to have 3 people comment, like, people will comment on yours or whatever.
I would always be like, I agree with someone.
Yeah. But my issue was you always had to post before you could comment. Dang.
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't do none of the readings. I didn't know what I was posting, so I was like, But it was like that. Teachers, they were really helpful. They wanted to make sure that you had, like, you understood and you were going to pass their class. It was really, just chill. Like, as long as you did the work, you was good.
Yeah. That's good. See, I only did online classes maybe like I did a couple in undergrad, and then I did maybe 1 or 2 in grad school, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, and I guess it's because I'm a people person. Like, I learn better like sitting with my friend. I don't know. Now you would think that I would, because like anytime I can remember, I was like on my phone, or like when we had our laptops out, I was on everything but what we were talking about. But like, I'm a visual learner. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, don't get me wrong, I do think that some things you can learn on your own, like just by reading, like, and researching and stuff like that. But some things, like, for instance, math, I could never take it online. Like, I had to be in class because all I need to know how is to add, subtract, and multiply my money. All that other stuff, I don't need to divide your money. No, who am I? I don't split it with nobody.
Well, now you do.
Yeah. Well, now I do. At that time, I just didn't know how to add, subtract, and multiply. And so it's just like, and then when you get to throwing letters in the math, like, I'm just like, nah. And so the math class I took, he had a heavy accent. And he was math. And it's just like, so me and Daniel both went to ECCU. And we had the same class, the same math class, but mine was at 8 and his was at 9 after mine. Mm-hmm. And so, like, we would switch, like, calculators and stuff like that. We shared the book. Like, we shared the book and we shared the calculator.
Save money.
Right, hello. And so
how was Damien's experience that you know of compared to yours with the same teacher?
So, funny thing. Like I said, I'm terrible at math. And so, the teacher during office hours one time when I went for extra help, he was like, he put two and two together that me and Damien had the same last name. And so he asked if we were related. I said, yes, that's my brother. He thought it was my husband. And so I was like, no, that's my brother. And so he was like, I don't want to do it in his accent because that's like, rude. But he was just basically in so many words telling me that maybe I should ask Damien to tutor me. Ooh. But the funnier thing is that by the end of the course, I ended up with a higher grade than Damien.
Well, dang. The tables just keep turning.
But yeah, like certain subjects, I have to be in person. Like I can't, like.
And I agree with Mimi. It's not certain subjects. It's all of them for me because I'm not that disciplined. Like if you have me sitting in front of a computer, I'm going to go to something else. And 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna end up shopping. And like no work is going to get done. Like even when we were virtual for COVID, like our classes were 50 minutes, which were really short. It's like a college class. Mm-hmm. And like I would be teaching, but like when it was time for them to like talk to me, I was in class. It showed that I was there, but mentally, I was gone. And so, like, and I'm a hands-on learner. I'm a scientist. We like to do things, touch, feel, stuff like that. So, for me, I have to actually be doing to learn it. So, I can't sit in front of a computer and actually learn and do stuff. And that's because when I was getting my teacher's license, COVID had come upon us, and all of my classes were online. And so they had us sitting in class for like maybe an hour, hour and a half, and then we had work to do. So since I paid attention, but I kept zoning out because again, it's just me looking at a computer. So since I didn't get the full instruction when they were giving it, when it came time for the assignment, I was just sitting there most of the time just staring at the computer. Like I really struggled getting my teacher's license just because I was online, and I feel like if it was in person, it would have been so much better. Yeah. And so I kind of feel bad for the kids that are coming up now because they're more trained to be in front of a computer and doing stuff online. Yeah. And a lot of the older generations like, well, you have the internet at your fingertips. You have more access to information, this, that, and the third. But again, our attention span isn't meant to like stare at a computer for 2 hours straight. Right. Like even I'll say even with what we're doing, podcasting, we have the visual aspect, but it's the audio that catches them. Yeah. Like, I know some people, and this is bad, they listen to podcasts as they drive. And I'm like, how do you do that without record? Because, like, in order for me to actually listen and focus, I have to stare and see all of their movements and hear all of their words. Lord. But it's the audio, and I don't think I'm that type of person. Like, this visual will work for me because I need to look and see what you're doing. I guess I'm low-key nosy, too. Yeah. Because, like, on my Netflix, I have on the TV. I mean, of course, I can see them and hear them, but I also have a closed captioning. And when I don't read the words in time, I rewind it. Because sometimes I don't read the words because I'm looking at their actions. It's a lot. But it works for me.
Yeah, I know. Oh, with my online classes, like, I just like the fact that I didn't have to be in one location to do the class. Yeah. Like, you could go on vacation. Yeah, because when I was started at Life, I was working at the school. Mm-hmm. So, like, I take my stuff with me, and, like, whenever I had a break or a lunch, or, like, if the head teacher or students weren't using me, I'd be typing away, doing my homework.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But then too, like once I'm in the zone, I hate breaking. Because once I break, it's hard to get back into that focus and that goal mentality.
Yeah.
So like if I were to be doing homework and then someone interrupt me, it's like it's all out the window.
Yeah. And it's just like I find it hard to go back to it. Because it's just like my concentration is like broken. That's why like whenever I was working on like a paper or something, I would put headphones on and listen to music. And then that way no one else could distract me or whatever. Like I was just in the zone. Now I ain't gonna lie, sometimes the lyrics that I was listening to would end up in my paper sometimes. But I mean I would catch it before I submit it. But like I have to be like zoned out and that's why I know I couldn't go to school online. Because if they tell me I have until Saturday at 11:59 to do one discussion board and like a 2-page summary,
to the last minute.
I'm gonna wait until Friday, maybe Saturday morning to do it all.
Well, you better than me because I be waiting to Saturday afternoon, Saturday night because I'm a really bad procrastinator. Like really bad. Like to this day, like now, I know I have grades to do. We've been out since the 22nd. I still ain't touched them, but I'm like, I got time. No, homegirl, you don't. But like, I'm gonna wait until what is it? Probably Monday night. Tuesday morning and do grades, and then I'm gonna be stressed.
Yeah, but it be like that sometimes. Like I think that I work best under pressure, like I said, and so it's just like I know that I've cranked out some really good, like assignments.
Yeah.
But then it's just like when not counting grad school, but specifically undergrad, I do wish I would have applied myself a little more.
A whole lot more.
Because my mindset of C's get degrees. It was just like, okay, but you letting them C's help you get this degree, and then you try to go to grad school, you end up, it wasn't the plan. And I think that was part of my mindset too. Like, these C's will get degrees, and I don't plan on going to grad school anyway, so it's just like, it don't matter. Like, as long as they see that I got the piece of paper. But then it's just like, I didn't know then that some jobs do request your transcripts because they want to see what you got. And so, like, when they started requesting them daggone transcripts, I was like, ooh, sorry about that. But it's just like I wish that I would have applied myself a little more and not had the C's get degrees mindset. That, and I wish that I won't say that my relationship at the time was my focus in college, but it did distract me from a lot. Like worrying about that relationship did distract me from hanging out like I wanted to. Like once he and I were at the same school, like I would wanted to be like up under him, unfortunately. And then it's just like I didn't get one. I did all my partying at Chowan, like, and that was because we were together, but we weren't at the same school. Not saying that I did anything bad, but it was just like I was on my own. I had a relationship, but I was on my own, and so like I did most of my partying at Chowan, and then, but yeah, so when we were at the same school, like I said, I got distracted and wanting to be over to him, but it's just like because at that time, when he was at his other school, he was staying with his parents, and so he couldn't party. So then when he went to NCCU and was like, able to go party, I had gotten on my part, I kind of gotten my partying out, and he was just getting started, and so that was a lot of contention in our relationship at the time, and so then it just like. And then being so worried about what he was doing, like I said, it distracted me from my own college experience. And I mean, it's nobody's fault but my own. I don't necessarily, blame him for that. But like,
it's human nature.
Yeah, but I do wish that I would have done more. And so, not to single you out, Les, but when you were in school, did you feel like you were living a double life?
Oh, most definitely. Or at least I tried to. Not you tried. Well, I mean, like I told you, we're in college. We're not supposed to be going to church. Like, we could go to church after we graduate. That was my mindset. Y'all don't have that mindset. But, like, I wanted to be, like I said, like, we've grown up in church. I'll say sheltered, as well as we've had to follow strict rules and regulations. So, when I saw time for college, I saw that as time for me to wild out. Yeah. And so, being so close to home while still trying to wild out, I was definitely living a double life. Yeah. I definitely was. Like, I would go to church and still usher, still work with the youth, still sing, and then go back Monday through Saturday or Monday through Friday and just be doing whatever I want to. Go to class, go to boys' houses, well, my baby daughter's father's house. do a little this, do a little that. Right back on church on Sunday. So everything, yeah, it was definitely a double life.
And see, I felt like that too. Like because I felt like when I was at school, I was like I could do the things that I wanted to do. But then when I came home, like on the weekends or like on break, I had to
put that halo back on.
Right, and be like, I do no wrong, like all this other kind of stuff. Like I was whole live, drinking and smoking and like fornicating.
It was.
But my parents didn't know. Like they just thought that I was just they just thought that I had joined my sorority and I was singing in the gospel choir and I had joined this church and I was, and so like I said, I felt like I led a double life. But then once I finished college and I moved back, because when I went to grad school, I moved back home. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I had to have a conversation with it wasn't so much my dad. My dad was just like, you grown, you do what you want to do, just make good choices and stuff like that. But it was my mom. Like, she was just like, don't make this, because she was big on don't make the same mistakes that I made. Right. And so, because she had a good life, she necessarily didn't want me to have that good of a life, like, to be, like, more cautious. Right. But then it's just like, I think that in her not wanting me to make the same mistakes that she did, she ended up pushing me to make those mistakes, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you scared me so much, but then it's just like it enticed me to want to try it. Mm-hmm. And so I never forget when I told her that like I had smoked weed before. Mm-hmm. It was like she wanted to clutch. She said, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, but I don't." I was like, I didn't like it. I've only done it like a couple times. I didn't like it. She's like, "Oh," and then when I told her, when I was like, "Yeah, my favorite drink is this," and she, "Oh." It was funny. But it's just like I had to explain to her, like, I had to figure out what I liked and what you can tell me don't drink, don't do this, don't do that. Mm-hmm. But I had to experience it for myself. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, no, I wasn't like thank God I didn't turn like into like alcoholic or like a pie and nothing like that. And weed is the most that I've ever tried. Like I've never tried anything harder than weed. So like she did scare me in that regard. Mm-hmm. But it's not like it wasn't there. It was just that I just chose not to. Right. But it's like my mom was like that. You know how you had the angel and the devil on this side? Like she was the angel, like, don't do this. Mm-hmm. And so that it was just like, y'all don't judge me. I remember the first party that I went to, I wore a shirt that I would normally wear to church. It was terrible.
That's how my club dress was. I know it was bad because I was like, oh, that's cute. I don't want you to think I'm cute going to the club. I'm supposed to be half naked or something.
Yes. I remember one of my skirts that I used to wear to church. It was one of my club. It was one of my party outfits. One of my pencil skirts that I would wear.
At least I knew how to dress when I went out.
We did not.
But see, I've never been. I to this day still haven't been to a club.
I have not either.
Like,
I've been to.
Does the club on our cruise count? That don't count.
No,
they don't count. They didn't count.
Everybody was there.
Yeah. So now I still never went to a club. Now them parties that I used to go to used to get shot up and like both. And no, for real, like I done had to run out of a couple of parties. I done seen some pretty good fights. Oh, wow. Yeah, someone went to the trunk and all of a sudden blood was everywhere. Like it was crazy. Like, so I done had some experiences.
Well, I will say, at least you got to have the chance to have that conversation with your parents. Like, mine thought I was an angel, and then I popped up pregnant. So it's kind of like, well, I mean, y'all know. And, like, for a good time, my mom was, like, highly upset with me. Like, mad. But then I feel like that kind of needed to happen to open up for us to have a conversation to where, like, now we talk about any and everything to the point to where she's like, I didn't want to know that. And I'm like, but Mom, you always want me to talk to you. Let's talk. Yeah. Like, it is so funny because, like, my mom is big on communication. Yes, she is. And she's always wanted me to talk to her. And, like, I'm an introvert. I keep things to myself. She's an extrovert, so she don't understand that. But now that I'm actually opening up and talking to her, I'm like, oh, remember all those years you wanted me to talk? But, like, I feel like it was good that you were able to have that conversation on your own instead of, like, being forced into a conversation because, it was hot and heated. hot and heavy, and it was like I had to have it because I mean things had already transpired.
Right.
But yeah, that was.
Yeah. I can only imagine knowing your mom had a conversation with
girl. And so now she always makes the statement to people she always says, I'll never say what my kids won't do, and it's because of me. And I know it's sad, but I know it's because of me, because she used to always say, well, she didn't used to always say, but they thought so highly of me, and they talked so highly of me, and then I popped up with child, not married, in college. So she always says, I won't say what my kids won't do, but I know what I taught them. And I'm like, yep. Shots fired.
Yeah.
And
so that was my mom too. Like once we started having those conversations, because it's just like when life started happening, and like I've never been there for like someone like getting into a fight where like they start bleeding, or like someone going in the trunk and like get weapons out to like fight somebody. I've never experienced it. So the first person I called when I got back to when I made it to my dorm was like, Mama, let me tell you about this. And she was like, well, why was you even there? You think you shouldn't have been there? I was like, no. I was there because of XYZ. Like, it was crazy. And then she would be like, oh, well, I remember this one time when this happened. And so that's why I never really did anything. Like, I never did anything other than smoke marijuana, was because my mom, like, talked about, like, how people used to, like, lace folks, like, blunts and stuff like that with other drugs, like, slip stuff in people's drinks. Like, anytime I ever went out to a party, I never drank, or if I did get a drink, it always stayed with me. I wouldn't leave it because my mom would be in my ear about the stories that she's had someone like put something in one of her friends' drinks and stuff like that, and then I'm just like, I don't want that to happen. Amen. And so it's just like those little nuggets that she did give me, did help me make good decisions. But then it's just like when we started having those conversations about the stuff that I was doing, when she thought that I was just, being a good church girl and stuff like that. And it was just like, okay, but then she would always take the same, thought as your mom. Was like, well, I know what I taught you. Yeah. You're going to have to experience life on your own. I just have to be confident in the teachings that I taught you. Yes. And so it was just like, now when I have those conversations, like my husband wants to know what I was like, because we met, not late in life, because we were still fairly young, but I've had life experiences before him, and so when I talk about those experiences, or the memories pop up on social media, it's like, ooh. Or for instance, when we got married and folks were commenting on our wedding pictures, he would be like, who's that, how you know that? Or if I tag him in something wishing him happy birthday or happy anniversary, people will start commenting on him because he's tagged in it. He'll get the notification and so and so. And so he'll be like, who is this? And so then I'll have to say how I know them, where we met and stuff like that. And so it's always interesting whenever I say, oh, I met them in college, or oh, I went to college with them. So what was y'all doing? And I'm like, it's not like that. But a lot of it is my friends and stuff from college. I'm like you. I only really talk to Aaliyah and Antoinette from school. I talk to a few others every now and then, but I wish that I would have been more intentional. You don't talk to the Tevins no more? Me and him live in the same daggone city, and I got his number. We tell each other happy birthday on social media. Does that count? No, but no. But I wish that I was more intentional about keeping those relationships or those friendships. Even with Aaliyah and Antoinette, I feel like I need to be more, or now that I say it, I will be more intentional, because it's just they are a big part. College was a big part of my life, and they were a big part of my life, and are a big part of my life. And so it's just I don't want to. I want to be more intentional about keeping those friendships or whatever. Because I said, college it made me who I am. Amen. It's formed a lot of my thought processes. It's formed the way that I view the world, because I can remember going into college, I did have a very naive view of the world. Yeah. And so I will say that going to Chomon was where I experienced my first bout of like racism.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always known that racism existed,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like being in that town and like, folks watching me in a store, like thinking that I'm gonna steal. Like I'm not saying that like, students didn't go in there and steal, but like just watching me. Like I'm in here, I have money to pay. Like and you're following me around, making sure, checking my receipts and stuff like that, checking my bags, but the person that just went out the door before me, you didn't do all that too. And so it's just like that's where I experienced my first, like I said, bout of racism, and then it's just like even the institutional racism, like how I said like last season about the funding for school, as to why I even had to switch schools in the first place, in that I went in and asked for the same funding that someone behind me went, and I didn't get it, but she did, and it's just like it was very eye opening, and then I would say going to an HBCU is where I learned to be proud of my. I was always proud to be black, but like it took my proudness to another level.
It really does, and it gives you like this boost of like self-esteem and cultural awareness to where like you can live comfortably and stand strong in who you are in the group that you're a part of or groups that you're a part of. Like I knew about African Americans, Black history, all that stuff growing up, but it wasn't until I was surrounded by minority individuals and stuff like that it was like, oh wow, like we were some very magical, intelligent, interesting people. Like we move mountains.
And I think it comes from the fact of the history about HBCUs.
Yes.
No offense to any other schools, like, or I know Life University isn't a HBCU or anything like that, but like it's so immersed in cultural richness just in its history. And the reason as to why they even exist. Yes. It does give you that boost. And then it's just like when people try to downplay it, it's just like I don't like when people try to downplay people's educations, regardless of if you went to a Bennett, A&T, NCCU, Life University, ECPI, Strayer, wherever you went, like GTCC. I think that it's sad to try to downplay someone's education. Like, because at the end of the day, regardless of where they got their piece of paper from, they still had to put in the work.
Yes. Yep.
They still had the time, the funding. So it's just like they did what they had to do in order to get those grades and those degrees. Yeah. So regardless of where it comes from, and then it's just like, don't try to downplay someone's ability, because at one point people that look like us weren't even allowed to have an education. And so then it's just like, as Black people and as a Black community, regardless of how we get it, we still have to remember that at one point our ancestors weren't able to. Yeah. And so whether you go online, go in person, PWI, HBCU, whatever, use that opportunity, because you are standing upon the foundation of your ancestors working and fighting hard for you to be able to go. Yeah. And that's something that I always think about. It's just like, wow, once upon a time, people that look like us weren't even allowed through the doors. We were allowed to work there, but we were not allowed to sit at those desks and, get educations and be lectured to and stuff. Even us just as women. Yeah. Not even taking away the race portion of it. Us as women. Yes. We weren't, at one point it wasn't expected of us to get an education.
Yeah, we were expected to be in the house.
Right, exactly. Barefoot and pregnant.
Yeah. Hello.
So it's just like, we've come such a long way, and it's going to be interesting to see like the little cousins and Gab's experience in college. I'm nervous. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. Because then it's just like you said, they're going in with like a whole different component. Like all of their stuff will probably just be all virtual and electronic. Whereas they won't get the experience of having to go into the library and actually do research. Yep. Like their research literally is Google. Whereas, ours, we actually had to go pull a textbook. Like had to learn the difference, had to learn how to do MLA format. Like had to learn how to construct a cover page. Like how to make sure that you do cite your source, make sure you don't plagiarize and stuff like that. So it's just like, I'm definitely going to be interested to see what college is going to be like for them.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I can say is that the one thing I didn't like about my collegiate career is that I didn't get the real college experience.
You wasn't missing much.
I never, the opportunity was taken from me.
Gotcha.
Like, I had the opportunity,
yeah.
It was taken from me. I think that's, to this day, is why I have yet to complete school and get a degree.
So you feel like the, I guess, grief of that loss stops you from, like, really wanting to, like, go full steam ahead and finish school?
Yeah.
I mean, because you still can. You're not too old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I can still go. And I do plan on going one day. It's just that since the opportunity to go to a college was taken from me,
mm-hmm.
and I was forced to go to a community college,
mm-hmm.
it was just like everybody else gets to pick where they go. Like, mm-hmm. all these kids who go into community college got to choose. Yeah. They chose to come to community college. I was forced to go to community college.
Yeah.
So the college experience was taken from me. So I was like, what's the point of doing school if it's forced upon me?
Gotcha.
And I was about to say, do you also think that it's more so, that you're older now? So, like, you have a more mature mindset to whereas, we were in our teens and 20s, and so we were out there partying, doing who knows what, just because, like, we felt invincible, whereas now you have a more precise, more structured outlook on life. You have set goals and plans, mm-hmm. like you're focused. Do you think it's more so the mindset that you'll have going into it this time rather than back then?
I don't know. I think I'm still hung up on the grief of it. Like, once I can get past that. I mean, it's been almost 10 years?
Probably more than that.
No. It'll be 10 years next year.
Oh, okay.
I graduated in 2014 from high school.
Oh.
Yeah, 10 years.
It's more than that for me.
But like that's for real. Like, I can understand that was an opportunity that you lost, mm-hmm. and it wasn't a loss of your own causing. It was a loss of somebody. Like, loss is right. It's different when it's your fault. Like, for me, it was my fault that I didn't get to go to the 4-year school that I wanted to. That I had to go to community college because mm-hmm. of choices that I made. Mm-hmm. That I couldn't blame anybody else but. Well, I could blame somebody else, but that I played a part in as to why it happened the way that it did. But when it's like on the other foot of like you have all these plans, but because of somebody else mm-hmm. or something else or an unforeseen circumstance, and that doesn't happen, it does hit a little different.
Yeah, and like I said, I had got accepted to college. I went and took all the placement tests, did the tour. They showed me basically. I knew which dorm room I was going to be in. I just didn't know which door number I need to unlock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I didn't know my roommates. Yeah. So I was just waiting on the room assignment and roommate assignments. Mm-hmm. That's all I was waiting for. When mm-hmm. I got told I couldn't go. Mm-hmm. So like I was there. All I had to do was wait on get all that information and go move in.
Yeah.
That's where I was. Like I was in college at that point. And then I was told I was going to community college.
Well, I mean, like she said, I mean, it's not ever too late. But I do get the sense of that the experience won't necessarily be the same. Yeah. Because you'll be going in as like, a full adult. Everyone else will be like, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed children.
Right.
And you're like a whole adult that has like a whole job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and has responsibility. So like, it's like it would be weird. Not necessarily weird because I don't want to deter you from like, going. But like it would be different because like you would be like the older person like trying to go to the parties. And it's just like then it's like what I look like, I'm almost 30 trying to go to these parties with these little teeny bopper 18, 19-year-olds. And then it's just like, but then that could bring on another sense of that could kind of amplify your grief, I guess. Yeah. That would be my fear is that, okay, if I do make the decision to go and then I'm there, but I'm not really getting to experience it the way that I could or should because I'm older now, that would just kind of like rip the Band-Aid off and like make the
that's why these last few times when I did go go back, I went online.
Yeah.
I was like, ain't no point in going in person, and I don't get to have that same experience as if I would fresh out of high school. So that's why I do online schooling.
That makes sense.
Because I was like, I'm not gonna have any experience. Might as well keep it that way and just stay at home like they wanted me to be.
No,
okay.
I know that makes me feel bad. Well, I mean, it wasn't me, but like I know it made me feel bad. Like, because I mean, well,
because that's supposed to be like the best years of your life. Like I can testify that it's not. Well, I haven't gotten so far in life, but like it played a major part in me becoming the L'Ariel that I am today. So I can, I can only imagine how that grief is for you, knowing that you had your opportunity stripped away from you.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that what you're saying, that how it played a part in who you are. I think that's why I'm the way I am. Mm-hmm. Like I don't have that will do in me. Like it's more like I'll do it when I get around to it type thing. And I put other stuff before things that I know needs to get done. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't have that will do to do it. So that's the reason, like, it made me that way.
That makes a lot of sense now. Because I know there'll be dishes in the sink unless it'll be on her game. And I'm like, we need these dishes washed. But now that makes sense. Like, since you didn't get to do what you had planned on doing, now you make sure that you put yourself first.
Yes.
Before you put others.
Mm-hmm.
I do it. See, this makes me understand you, sister.
Stop.
I will, as we close, because apparently that just happened. So is there any advice that, because we all have had different experiences with college, but the thing is, we went. We tried it. So is there any advice that you all would like to give to our cousins who are either in college right now or looking to go to college after high school?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll say, while you're in high school, probably your junior year, going into senior year, go ahead and be figuring out what you like, what you don't like. So if you like reading more than you like math, be thinking of careers and stuff that would include the reading and the writing and stuff. Like, go ahead and be figuring out what you like and you don't like, what makes you happy, what you don't make happy. So when it's time to look for and apply to these colleges, you not looking lost and just going to colleges to do the general ed. You're actually doing general ed, preparing you to do what you want to do for the rest of your life. And then, as far as my experience, when you do get ready to go to college, like, do what makes you happy. At the end of the day, it's your life. I didn't get to do what I wanted to make other people happy, but in the end, I wasn't happy. So do what makes you happy. Follow your dreams.
Facts. For me, I would say, look at the cost. Like, I was in such a rush to get out of community college that I ended up putting myself more in debt than what I needed to. And so, I would say definitely look at the cost of, the school and do your research about the school. Like I said, I won't take away from my experience at Chowan, but I do wish I would have done a little more research and just been patient and waited on NCCU to get back to us, sister. But like I said, I won't take away from that experience and just enjoy yourself. Like, that is the time for you to still be about your business and then making your grades and stuff like that, but also have fun because you won't get those years back. And so you don't want it to be where you reflect on college and just be like, all I did was study and go to class. Like, make memories. Use the time to make those lifelong friends. Make those lifelong memories that'll sustain you as you go through life. Because college is a definite learning experience. And definitely use it as a networking opportunity.
Yes. Good advice, Mimi. I'll say for our younger cousins who are looking towards college after high school, like these two have already said, kind of figure out what you want to do while you're in school so that you can start making a plan and prepare, do your research, find out what you like and what you don't like. do your research. Go visit schools.
Yes.
So most times when you go visit schools nowadays, they'll pay for like your hotel and stuff, and they'll even reimburse you on gas. So go visit schools, because it's one thing to see it online, but once you step on campus, Lord Jesus, is it time for school? But once you step on campus, like you can feel like the vibes to see if that's a match for you. You can see the people that actually go there, see the professors who actually work there, and like see how that fits into your vision for yourself. And for my cousins who are already in college, it's not always sunshine and rainbows.
Sure.
But also at the same time, it's not always thunderstorms and blizzards. Like even on your worst day, in the position that you're in right now, you are your ancestors' wildest dreams. Like Mimi said, at a point in time, people that look like us, whether they're women or black, were not afforded the opportunity that you have presented to you right now. So yes, it gets hard. Yes, it gets lonely. Yes, it gets frustrating. But find the will, find the support, and push through. And then, like Mimi said, enjoy yourself. Yes. Make friends. Yes. That's something I wish I would have done, but make friends, because, you know, those are the people that will be with you for a long time. So, yeah. Well, you all, coming from the great Bennett College.
Coming from the illustrious NCCU.
And the most wonderful Life University.
We wish you well on your journey, whatever you choose. We hope that you can take some of this and apply it to your life. And whenever you need us, your 3 favorite cousins are always here for you.
Facts.
Until next time, bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Stacking every month, put that work in, I deserve to stand. Bring the baddies to the front. It's the type of life that I want. It's the type of life that I want.